Hey guys, so in this video, I want to share with you tips and tricks on how to be a better digital product seller on Etsy. Since there's a lot of different nuances when you're selling digital products, physical products, or print-on-demand products, there's specific tips that will apply for the digital realm and not so much for the others. So in this video, it's going to be catered towards the digital product side. And depending on if you guys like it, I can create one for print-on-demand or also for physical products as well. So for this video, we're going to go over my YouTube comments and answer some of your guys' questions. So let's get right into the video. All right, so the first one is by MZ Creative Dynamics. It says, any advice when listing physical and digital products in one listing? Okay, so if you're going to add both listings into one, you want to make sure that the customers know exactly which variation is for what. So you want to include information in the description, in the images, but also in the text format. You want to make sure that they can see that you're offering the two types, and also in the description. So because from my experience selling on Etsy for many years now, a lot of people get confused on how to actually download digital products compared to something that's a physical one getting shipped to them. There's a lot of questions that will come when you get a lot more traffic. So you want to make sure that you address them properly so there's no confusion. And if there's more confusion, people will bounce out of your page and then your conversion rate goes down. Etsy sees it, the algorithm catches on, and it might not promote your listing as much. All right, so the second one is by King of the Jungle. Can I sell digital printable art and digital products like journals and planners, etc. in one store since they are all digital items, but niches and subs are different? A little confused, would appreciate any tips. Thanks. Okay, so when you're selling digital art, from what I've seen from most people, they strictly do printable art, and people who sell journals and planners are something totally different. But one way to incorporate the two is if you make sure that the aesthetic is very on point. So example, if you're creating some kind of cool graphics on your printable art, but then maybe you want to convert that into a calendar, a printable calendar, a planner, and you have the graphics on the top or the bottom of it is the same art style, is the same aesthetics, by the same branding, then I can see that working, right? Because some people might not want just an art piece on the wall. Maybe they want something that's usable. So that could happen. If you combine these two, you want to make sure that the story aligns, the branding aligns, and that would be the most important thing if you want to combine the two. Even if you're doing journals and planners, make sure that the fonts, the colors, everything is exactly the same. And actually, speaking of using different graphics, if you're someone that's not as crafty or creative in using like Procreate and different illustration tools, and you still want to create in that category, one place I recommend is called Creative Fabrica. And they have a lot of different cool graphics and patterns that you can use. I am in partnership with them. So if you look in my description, I have a link where you can just sign up for just $1 for the first month. And what this part I highlighted is called personal and commercial license included. So that means you can use these designs directly without doing any edits, and you can apply them to your products. Okay, so that's super important compared to other ones where you actually do have to do a lot of modifications. Whereas this, if you sign up here, you can use the commercial license included here. Okay, try it out for just $1 for the first month. So check it out in the link below. All right, so the third one is by Zafar Salam. I'm starting with digital products on Etsy. Could you suggest ways to create files? I don't have a graphic design background. All right, I guess I already kind of explained a bit. What type of digital products are you trying to create? They all use different programs and tools to create from. Okay, and then they're saying, I'm thinking of starting with SVGs, which is a great category if you're doing digital products, FYI. And okay, but yeah, honestly, I can just answer these ones here. These are great options. Coloring books might be a bit more saturated now. I haven't taken a look at too much, but SVGs is still going super strong. I've seen stats on news shops that started in 2022 that are doing extremely well. Like they just started recently. So that's another conversation I can go into, talking about how things may seem saturated, but people who have the right strategies and the right tactics going into it, using the right keywords and right digital products and imagery, you can do really well, even though you start now in a saturated market. The answer for this is to use Canva. Canva is a great place for anyone that's not familiar with like Illustrator or Photoshop to create designs. They have a lot of designs you can use from there if you use their pro account, which I have in the link below if you want to check them out. But Canva is where I would do and create designs for SVGs, abstract shapes and stuff, because you can save the SVG files into transparent background right from Canva. It's very easy to use. Anyone can learn it very quickly, and that's what I would recommend for anyone who uses it. So definitely check them out. All right, so number 4 by Jess. can you do a video on how you convert the file ratios? Which ratios and options are the best to offer for all digital products? Okay, so if you're commenting on this one video here, I'm guessing you're doing digital wall art. And in this video, I talk about how I use Photoshop to do it, but I'm going to try to create another video on this. But you can use Canva, like I mentioned from the last question. You can use Canva easily to convert from one original size into the different ratio styles, into the 2x4s, the 3x4s, 4x5s, the international files, the 11x14. So you can really, with a couple clicks, you can transfer all of them. And maybe I'll do a video on that. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do. But yeah, Canva is great to convert files and ratios. Also, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure to like and subscribe, because I know a lot of you guys are watching my videos but aren't actually subscribers of it. So I truly appreciate it if you would subscribe, and it'll really help support the channel. And yeah, let me know in the comments things I can improve on. I know a lot of you guys are giving me good tips and feedback on my video quality, the mic. Yeah, I appreciate those comments quite a bit, and it really does help me improve. And yeah, keep them coming. All right, so the fifth one is by Jess again. I really enjoy videos. I was wondering if there's a website that has free mockups. Is it bad to use the same mockups but with different digital products? Okay, so the first part is if there's a website that has free mockups. So when I first started years ago, I didn't really want to pay for any of the mockups, even though now I recommend it because they're quite affordable now. But back then I didn't want to pay for anything. So pretty much the easiest way to do this is just to search on Google saying free mockups wall art, or free mockups stationery paper, or free mockups frames or tote bags. So you just search those keywords, and there's no specific one site that can give you the best free ones. It's just going to be a bunch of different ones that will offer free mockups for you that you can use. And another tip, you want to make sure when you find these good ones on free sites that they are for commercial use. Okay, so some might be for commercial use, but it will be like you need to tag us in your comments or in the description, which is totally fine. You can do that if you want to use it for free. But make sure that the mockups aren't for personal use only, that they are for commercial use, and which are also free. And the second part, is it bad to use the same mockups but with different digital products? There's nothing wrong with using the same mockups, but the same mockup might not apply for a different digital product. For example, if you're doing a wall art mockup, you would have the mockup for the wall interior design, but you're not going to necessarily use that same wall mockup for a printable planner. You're not going to put a large printable planner on the wall. You just make sure what works for you and what mockup they're using it for, what the use case is, and then that way you can just judge. But there's nothing wrong with it. If you're having a shop that has a set of mockups, let's say for your wall art, then yeah, you can definitely use that same set of mockups for every single listing. All right, so number 6 by Vivi says, hello, is digital product more profitable than the print on demand? From your results, which is more profitable? Which will you recommend? Okay, so I guess I already answered this, but I'll elaborate more on this. I said I personally like digital product more, but both can be very profitable depending on the niche and category. Okay, so I agree with this person right here. I personally like digital products because I started off with that, and at the end of the day, even if a category is less lucrative or less profitable, let's say, it's still a lot more passive than print on demand. Even though I know print on demand is pretty much passive just as well, because the print on demand services will print it out and ship it out for you. But there's always a little bit more. Let's say the shipping goes wrong, they'll still come back to you and say, hey, I don't have my shipping, can you figure this out? And then you have to contact places like Printful and sort things out and relay it back and forth. Okay, there's a little bit more for sure, but as much as passive, it is still passive. Now back to the point where which is more profitable, it is really depending on the niche and category. And I can talk a little bit about how you should choose it, not based on profitability, but more so on your skill set. Okay, so I think there's a question later on that I can talk about how to choose between print on demand and digital product depending on your skill set. All right, so number 6 by Catherine Fuller. Hey Brandon, do you have a separate shop on Etsy for Printful products versus digital downloads? Okay, so lovely Kelly 645 also says, great question. I'd also like to know. Okay, I mentioned this a couple of times in the videos, and if you guys know my shops, I do have them separate. I have fully digital product shop, and I have a print on demand products, even though it's the same products where I sell wall art. But the reason why I had it separated is when I first started, print on demand wasn't really a thing yet. It wasn't a proven concept that I fully trust to incorporate into my digital shop, which I started first. because at that point I didn't really risk anything that would jeopardize my digital product shop. I didn't know if it's gonna be bad quality products, if I'm gonna start getting bad reviews in it, that might ruin my bread and butter shop. So that's why I opened up a new one just to test out the theory. And at this point, I've just been doing it. I've just been separating the two just because that's just how I started. But if I were to start now, I would definitely just put them together. All right, so number 8 is by Urchar. I can't pronounce it, I'm sorry. But yeah, hi Brandon. What software do you use to create your digital products? So I said, depending on the digital products, I would use Microsoft Word for things like resume templates, Canva for all things like SVGs, wall art, Photoshop, pretty much for everything, and Excel for things like budget planners. And or you can use PowerPoint if you're someone that's really good with making PowerPoint presentations. That's also an interesting product category niche that you can tap into. So it really depends on what digital product you're trying to sell, and then you can reverse it and figure out what softwares I need to use to create those products itself. All right, so for the 9th question, I don't even know. This one says, always great videos, Brandon. You're an inspiration for us, the most transparent content provider on YouTube, period. Okay, so just one question. How long did it take you to reach 1K per month for your shop number 1 with digital products, and how many products did I start selling? Okay, so if I can answer if I started one now, what the results are compared to the one I started like years ago. So the one years ago, for me to reach 1K per month was actually month 3. I believe it was month 3 when I started seeing actual results where I can consider, hey, maybe I can actually quit my job, my full-time job at that time. Okay, and the point that says how many products that I have at that point. So it was hard to tell because during those first 3 months, I actually put out quite a bit of listings. I think I put around like 60, 70 listings at that point, but things were starting to snowball because that was like my first real shop that I spent a lot of time on, and I didn't really fully knew what I knew in terms of the SEO side of things and how to present your products properly in a shop. So that took it took 3 months. Okay, but now I've started 2 new shops in the last 6 months, and usually now to get 1K per month, it takes the first month around, and I would only do 16 listings. Okay, so 16 listings is what I always start to try to see and improve the concept for any digital product categories, or even physical or digital or print on demand products. So anything like that, I just normally do 16 listings. It's a nice full listing where there's like a couple rows, you can do a couple sections, have a fully optimized shop. Okay, so that's my magic number, and it really depends on you how quickly you can get to 1K a month. Okay, so the last one from Jazz, I just want to do a shout out to this person. They're saying they have made 2K already in profit, which is amazing in the past 4 months. Okay, so I just read this without answering the previous question. So it's really cool to see someone doing this. So I'm super happy for you and congratulations, okay? And the question was, do you use InPrint? If yes, is Printful still the better option? I personally have not used InPrint before. I've just been using Printful since day 1 because that was one of the early ones that started this whole print on demand movement. So I've just been with them since forever, and the customer service is amazing. The product selection is great. There's different print on demand services that have a wider range of products, and they might specialize in different things. So I'm not saying you have to go with Printful, even though they're great, but there might be better options for you depending on what you're selling. Okay, that's number 10, but I also want to touch note on one last thing, which I don't really see on the questions here, but what I mentioned earlier about what should you get into if you're doing digital products, or if you should get into print on demand, depending on your skill set. So for me, from my experience in doing the different niches from both of them, I've learned if you're someone that is really good with visual designs, and like I mentioned before, how I talked about places like Fabrica, if you know how to use these designs and put them in place, then I would say print on demand is a great one, just because there's a lot more design focus, and your competition can only compete with you based on the design on the products, right? What they print out. Whereas if you're doing digital products, you might need to be slightly more tech savvy in terms of if you're creating Excel sheets, if you're doing Microsoft Word text based, you're doing, I don't know, social media templates, anything that might require more knowledge on different softwares. So if that's in your skill set, in your wheelhouse, where you're not familiar with maybe actual design based stuff, then that might be good for you. SVGs are these are things that you need to know, or you're doing Lightroom presets. But yeah, if you're doing Lightroom presets, that's less about illustrations and designs and more about how you can set up a good preset file for the customer. So it really depends on what you're naturally good at, what you're naturally interested in, and then you can decide if digital products is better or print on demand products are better. And back to that last one of the questions earlier about profitability, I think that comes second to figure out which option is better. But the first is figuring out your skill set and what will work better for you without having this massive learning curve into learning about this whole new thing. If you're not naturally good artist, if you're not someone that's naturally good at drawing and illustrating and creating layouts, then maybe you want to pick something that's not in that realm. And that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this, make sure to like and subscribe and let me know any questions below. And yeah, I know a lot of people aren't really subscribed yet, so I really appreciate if you do. It really does support this channel. So take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.